In today's fight news, we start off with Alex Perez doing a quick turnaround after coming off a performance of the night win this past weekend at UFC Vegas. Perez will be on the UFC Vegas 93 card on June 15th, and he'll be taking on Erceg Faceoff in the flyweight division. For this weekend's UFC 301 broadcast, Paul Felder will be on the play-by-play team alongside Jon Anik and Daniel Cormier. Official photos have been released for this weekend's UFC 301 main event featuring flyweight champion Alejandro Pantoja and Steve Erceg. The two fighters faced off this past Monday in Rio de Janeiro. The flyweight title challenger Steve Erceg says that if he's successful at UFC 301 this weekend, that he hopes to do a quick turnaround so that he can fight in his hometown of Perth, Australia on the August 305 card. Erceg says that Brandon Royval would be his first title defense if he is successful and wins the title this weekend at UFC 301. Unfortunately, Yoon Sung Park is out of his matchup with Andre Lima for UFC 302 in June. Park posted on his IG account that he ruptured an internal ligament in his knee during a sparring session. Welterweight top 10 contender Ian Machado Gary recently revealed his dream UFC 303 main card featuring himself and Colby Covington in the main event behind Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. Also on that card, he has Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway, Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez, and Michael Venom Page versus Gunnar Nelson. UFC interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall is calling for a change to the upcoming Manchester pay-per-view as the start time is very unfavorable to UK fans as the main card starts at 2 a.m. in the morning and the main event won't be until 5 a.m. This is due to the UFC trying to make the fight at a more reasonable time for US fans. While speaking on an episode of Michael Bisping's The Believe You Me podcast, former light heavyweight champion Yuri Prochazka says that he's eyeballing a move down to the middleweight division, but first he'd like to recapture the light heavyweight belt. This is what he had to say. I can feel with these guys in middleweight because I know I can do that, but still, for me, the first step is to achieve the light heavyweight belt. The current middleweight champion, Dricus du Plessis, says that he doesn't think Yuri is built for light heavyweight and that he's seen him in person and thinks he's too small for the division. The former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker had this to say while speaking to MMA Arcade in regards to Yuri's possible move to his division. I really hope Yuri doesn't move to middleweight. I like the guy a lot, but if he enters the middleweight division, then we're enemies. I can't see him at 84 kilograms. I've seen him in real life. He's a big guy. Stay at light heavyweight so we can stay friends. It looks like Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa are having a little back and forth on social media after Strickland posted this on his X account. I'm so sick of seeing foreign flags in America. I don't get it. You left your corrupt country to come to the USA and yet you still rep what you fled? The worst is Hispanics born in America flying a Mexican flag. Where's your loyalty? Just go back. Enjoy your foreign flag. To which Costa replied, Mexico for life, cabron. Former UFC champ Daniel Cormier recently had the following to say on his YouTube channel about current featherweight champion Ilia Topuria. I think Ilia Topuria needs to come right out and say, hey, I want Max Holloway on this date. When Ilia says, I want this fight on this date, Max will have to say okay, or he will say no, and they will move on. Topuria has to make a statement saying, this is what I want as the champ, and then put the ball in Max's court to deny it. But right now, it's not coming off great, because he's batting away all of these guys with no clear idea of who else there is. It looks like we might not get the Peter versus Chito Vera matchup, as Vera posted on his X account, UFC saying that Jan ain't gonna fight. Easy to bark when you know you not stepping up. Speaking of Vera, former bantamweight champion Dominic Cruz says that he's looking for a rematch with either Vera or Henry Cejudo as his next potential fight. Recently, on an episode of the Jackson podcast, Manel Kape was asked his opinions on the beef with Israel Adesanya, and this is what he had to say. "I'm undefeated in the streets. I already beat many guys of his size. I don't give a about his size. Put him in front of me in the streets and we're gonna see. Adesanya is pretty good. I'm pretty good too, brother." Former lightweight champion Charles do Bronx Oliveira says that he isn't going to wait around for a matchup and he's willing to move up to the 170-pound division for a big fight if it makes sense. He wants a big money fight and he wants a fight that's going to add to his legacy. Recently, the Nevada State Athletic Commission had held the purses of Arman Tsarukyan and Diego Lopez after separate incidents at the UFC 300 event in which Arman Tsarukyan punched a fan who had grabbed at him and Diego Lopez jumped the cage after his impressive knockout victory. Currently, the NSAC is withholding $31,600 from Tsarukyan and $5,000 from Lopez. Both fighters are still under review and there could be possible future disciplinary actions. Lastly, we have an update on the Igor Severino incident that happened at UFC Vegas 89 back in March, when Severino bit his opponent Andre Lima. Severino has been suspended for 6 months and fined $3,314.08 by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The commission says that the suspension length may not be enough, and they are considering another hearing at a later date to reassess the situation.